Hello, I'm Adam, and today I will show you how to control your PSU from your 3D printer through a standard gcode command. So, first let's take a look on the required hardware, because we need a special PSU, and let's look at this example. It's a standard PSU from the PlayStation 3 console. And what's interesting, it has 12 volts 23.5 amps and 5 volts 0.6 amp, and this one is a little bit weaker than we can met, because I have installed in my 3D printer 12 volts 32 amps, and on the 5 volt line it has 3 amps. That's really a lot, but that's a lot, but okay. So this is PSU from the PlayStation 3, and why is it so special? Because there we've got 2 terminals, and you can fit their banana plug, 4mm I think, or 3.5. I will write it later. And the most interesting thing is that there is a header, and there are some pins like 5 volts, ground, and other pins, but the last pin on the opposite side is the pin that allows us to wake up the PSU. So let's take a look with the multimeter, and let's turn on the power supply. And now if I try to measure terminals, there is 0 volts, but if I try to measure, 5 volts is on. So if I put this pin to the first pin of this header, okay, and now maybe you heard a click sound, and that means the power supply is on, and we've got nice 12 volts. Yeah, so to turn off this, we can just remove this connection. Oh, great. Remove this wire, and now there is a 0 volts. So that's what we need, because we can control whole 12 volts through one wake up pin, which operates at 5 volts or 3.3 volts like in my Hypercube, because my Hypercube sends 3.3 volts on this pin when I want to wake up the PSU. Okay, next thing, how this PSU is built. There are pretty safe 230 pins. There is no way to touch it. There is a grounding. And what's really great, this thing is 100% passive. That means it's really quiet, and what's more, it doesn't get warm, because my 3D printer uses about maximally 10 amps, because I have heated bed for 230, so only the hot end and fans, lights and motors. So in this case it will work at 50% of its power. Yeah, maybe you can say that's not efficient, but better is to kill it with a lot of power, instead of being afraid if it will be enough or won't be enough. Okay, now configuration part. We have to add to our config file those lines. And now I will explain what those lines do. Enable the PSU, define gcode for turning on the power supply. The default gcode for turning on the power supply is M80, and for turning off is M81. Now we have to define output pin. That's the pin when there will be a high signal after issuing the M80 command. And if we would like to disable PSU by writing M81, there will be low state on this pin. So in my case it's 1.21, and this is a random pin on my ARM board. I'm pretty sure you will have to check your board specification and look for a free pin and define it there. Next we've got a digital type. So when the M80 will be issued, that means there will be high state. Otherwise M81 there will be low state, and that's it. Ignore on halt, yes, that we have to set to true, because I don't want to turn off the power supply when I hit the stop button. This part is defining a custom menu. I will show you later. In SmoothieWare you have a menu option that's called custom commands, and you can define customized commands for your 3D printer. And in my case I have to enable the power on option, name it power on, and there is a G-code behind this name. And to power off, it's exactly same, but with the M81 G-code. And now I will show you how it looks in the 3D printer. To turn off the 3D printer after print is done, all you need to do is write this command on your slicer settings or the Octoprint settings in the ending script. And there is one important thing: if you are going to control your PSU from your motherboard using a G-code, there is on your board should be something like this. It has int and the 5 volt and the USB. This jumper determines source of your power, determines source of your board power. That means if it's switched to the USB, it will be powered only from the USB port, for example, which is connected to your server. And you should use it in this case if you are going to turn off or turn on your power supply, because if you are will be powered from the power supply and you will turn it off, you won't be able to turn it on because the board will be powered off. Yeah, so if you want to use if you want to control your power supply through the board, just make sure you have connected it to the USB port and the board is powering from the USB port. That means if you turn off the power supply will turn off, but the board will stay alive. Yeah, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and hit the subscribe button. Bye!